Some debts begin long before the ledger records them. Mine was sealed the day my grandfather pressed the farm's iron key into my hand and said, "Remember what carried us here, Caleb. Keep it solid. Keep it real." I was 15. His grip was calloused, firm as fence wire, and the key, a thick iron tooth worn smooth at the edges, bit cold against my skin. It wasn't just a key to the house or the silo or the tractor padlock. It was a binding, a charge, the kind that lodges deep in your chest and doesn't ease with years, only grows heavier with repetition. He died later, lungs packed with grit, from too many decades pushing harvests through dry summers. We buried him beneath the western cottonwood, the tree that still fights for leaf every spring. But the key stayed. I've kept it in my pocket ever since, and each dawn it tugs like an anchor. Metal doesn't forget its weight. Today the sky looks the way ash tastes, flat, bitter, lifeless. Still, I walk the rows. That's what we call the East Perimeter, where the drip rigs start and end, and where any real damage usually shows up first. The soil there curls back from itself like burnt paper. A leak, maybe, or pressure fault. Either way, I crouch beside the lines and start cataloging. One valve's corroded so bad it snaps in my hand. The heat's warped a supply pipe. I sweat through my second shirt before noon. Every sound feels amplified. Wrenches clanking, bolts dropping, the hissing sigh of rubber meeting sand. Mother used to say our fields were a hymn only the desperate could hear. Right now, it sounds more like metal screaming from overuse. By midday, I've replaced the valve, tightened the silo hatch bolts, and burned through half my rationed water. My lips crack with salt. I tell myself the labor is worth it, that the bank might grant another extension if I keep the place humming, but I know better. I see the envelope waiting on the porch railing as soon as I get back. Windowed plastic, sharp corners. Authority in paper form. I don't even need to open it to know the words inside. Final notice. I open it anyway. The phrasing is brisk, professional. A stranger's handshake before eviction. 30 days. I fold the letter neatly, even as my hands shake. Losing composure out here is like splitting a seam in your own skin. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. I tuck the notice between older demands in the rust-bound ledger my father kept. Pages stiff with sun and grief. Then I return to the yard, because the only option left is endurance. Endurance built this farm. Endurance might yet hold it upright. It's near dusk when I see movement on the horizon, a shimmer just where the heat starts to ripple the earth's edge. At first, I think mirage, but the shape doesn't vanish. It resolves into a figure, tall, limping, skeletal beneath a stiff coat, as if salt and time boiled the man dry. He drags a shadow too heavy for the body that casts it. I rest my hand against the spade stuck in the dirt. Let the silence stretch. Visitors stopped coming after the third year without real rain. Anyone walking this far alone now doesn't do it for neighborly reasons. The figure raises one hand, palm outward. Not a wave, more a gesture to pause the world. I nod once, keep my stance loose but grounded. Spade still touching my heel. "You own this land?" he asks. His voice is parched thin, like it scraped its way up from his lungs through dry gravel. "I tend it," I say. "Own feels ambitious these days." He nods, jaw working behind cracked lips. "Need a place to stay. One night, somewhere dry." "Everything out here is dry," I say, but something in his voice twists behind my ribs. Not desperation, not demand. A kind of hollow reverence. "The barn leaks," I warn. "Wind punches grit through every seam." "Not grit," he whispers, and I feel the word more than hear it. Moisture. That one word tilts something in my gut. I study him, cheeks sunken, skin flaking, eyes rimmed in copper stains that might be dust or something stranger. He carries a pack made of flimsy cloth. No canteen. Fear stirs low in my spine, quiet but decisive. Still, hospitality's a reflex around here. This place hammers it into your marrow, and a man afraid of water doesn't seem like much of a threat. The old grain silo, I say. I point. 30 meters out, empty since the last real harvest. You'll find a cot. Lock spins from the outside, but it's broken. You can bar it from inside. He nods again, brittle, like bone too long in the sun. Name's Josiah, he says. Caleb, I answer, extending a hand. He hesitates, then grips mine. Brief, absorbent. His skin feels like paper soaked in old oil. I walk him to the silo. When he steps inside, a shudder moves through the structure. I tell myself it's thermal stress, iron flexing under heat. Nothing more. Still, I linger, listening. The air holds still. That night, I patch a board on the porch, brew Cory surrogate in the old enamel pot. I try to think of anything but Josiah, but one thought keeps circling. Why would a man traveling this long, this far, fear water? Night drops hard. Wind carries grit that rasps against the windows. I sit at the table, the old ledger open, pen scratching figures I know won't balance. Somewhere out in the dark, a sound starts. Scrape, pause, scrape, pause. I freeze, pen hovering, heart stuttering like a misfiring engine. I wait, count, tell myself it's tin flapping, mice, the wind. But the scrape keeps time with something inside me, like a clock I never set, like a rhythm I should remember but don't. I finish the column, I climb to bed. The floorboards creak under my boots. Dust motes drift in the lamplight. The tin bucket on my nightstand, the one my mother used to draw from the well, is still there. I tap it once, solid, familiar. It settles me, until I wake again hours later, and it's gone. The bucket, the nails I sorted, gone. I check the porch, the workshop, nothing. Memory stirs, my mother's hands dipping that bucket into cold, clean water. That sound, that smell. I try to summon it, but what comes instead is grit. Metallic, like rust caught in my teeth. Dawn scrapes across the sky in shades of old blood. I head for the silo. Gravel crunches underfoot. The hatch resists, then swings open. Inside, Josiah stands still amid a twisted nest of metal, tools, nails. My mother's bucket, melted, fused into concentric circles on the wall, like someone spun molten iron in a whirlpool and let it harden mid-storm. His eyes meet mine. Copper irises glinting with a sheen that's not alive. Needed to keep the damp away, he says. Then he shuts the hatch. The lock clicks from his side, and I understand something ancient has stepped onto my land, something that eats iron, something that digests memory. The farm was always built on endurance, but now I feel it, bone deep, that I'll need something harder, sharper, because whatever doctrine Josiah carries with him, it started feeding the moment I let him through the gate. And it's not just after steel, it's after everything we used to be. Some mornings arrive already tired, like the sun had to drag itself through 3 counties of dust before remembering to rise. That's how today feels, bruised red at the edges, the light thick with fatigue. I step off the porch before full dawn, walk the yard, take stock. The ledger said I had 30 days. Today makes 29. But it's not the bank notice that quickens my steps. It's the metal. The absences are small at first, the iron band from the broom wrenched clean off the handle, 3 horseshoes gone from above the feed bin, not dropped, not broken, taken. Worse, the ledger page where Father tallied our first full harvest has grown soft in the middle, the ink blooming out in rust-colored rings. The names blur. The numbers we worked for go pale. I touch the wound in the paper and something stirs behind my temples, an ache with no pressure. Just a hole, a vacancy. Josiah started this. He hasn't left the silo since the night he took the bucket. I haven't tried to enter. Logic says I should march out there and demand an explanation. Instinct says I'd find nothing but twisted scrap and another smile that isn't a smile. So I patch the fence, grease pump gears, keep the land awake like that might ward them off. The routine isn't defense, it's denial with a wrench. Mid-afternoon, the horizon shifts. Another drifter emerges from the heat shimmer, taller than Josiah, with a flaking red scalp and arms swinging like a pendulum. He never glances at me, just angles past the barn, strides straight into the silo. No greeting, no question, as though some beacon only he can hear has called him home. Dread doesn't scream, it doesn't even whisper, it just settles. A slow pressure under the ribs, like watching termites work under glass, orderly, silent, inevitable. After sundown, the noise inside the silo changes. It thickens, grows layered. Scrape becomes grind. A rhythm forms, like a hymn dragged across iron. I try stuffing seed sacks into my ears. The sound wriggles through the weave and roots in my skull. Every stroke scrapes a little more ease out of my bones. By midnight, 2 hammers are gone, a box of nails, the mouth of Grandpa's old pocket knife. The blade remains, but the collar's missing like it was chewed off. Each new vacancy hits like a silent bell I can't stop hearing. I sit in the kitchen, the ledger open again. Numbers have started vanishing from the margins, not crossed out, faded, like they'd never been penned. I dial the rotary phone. Sheriff Galloway. Wes, it's Caleb, out on County Spur. Something's happening. I list what I've lost. The sounds, the strangers, the metal gone missing. How many someones, he asks. 2 I've seen, maybe more. What kind of noise? I cup the receiver. The scraping's back, staggered, like saw teeth biting stone. Like they're filing the rust off the dark. Silence stretches. Then, dust storms can do strange things to metal and tired minds. Let me come out next supply run. That's in 2 days. I need help tonight. Can't spare fuel for a ghost story, Caleb. Lock your doors. Get some rest. The line clicks. Dead air hums in my ear. Resignation tastes like rust. No one believes you when memory starts unraveling. That's the worst part. You can't prove what's been eaten. You just know it was yours. I sit in the loft with the shotgun across my knees, lantern dimmed to embers. Hours crawl past. The yard lies quiet. Then movement along the outer fence. 5 figures, maybe 6. They work silently, bare-handed, sliding fingers beneath barbed wire, unwinding it in coils. The metal melts into their arms like wax poured over bone. One of them picks up a horseshoe, presses it to his chest. It softens, warps. Orange droplets fall and sizzle against the dirt. Then his eyes meet mine. They catch moonlight and glow bronze for a breath. He knows I'm watching. I lower the shotgun. A shot now wins nothing. Ammunition is finite, and these creatures, these rust-born, number more than I can see. Dawn arrives with reluctance. The figures vanish with the stars. The silo door stays shut, but its walls have swelled, like something inside is growing a second skin. In the workshop, I count the missing. Mark each on fresh paper. Nails, 94. Hinges, 3. Horseshoes, 5. I write slow, afraid each stroke might disappear. The image of father at the forge, showing me how to shape a shoe for a nervous colt, flickers, smears, like a page caught in water, then burned. I shove grief aside. I can't mourn what I refuse to surrender. I turn to work, strip rebar, weld cracked couplings, rig tin cans to rattle on the workshop door, an alarm fit for a child but better than nothing. Night brings thicker scraping, steel dragging steel. Every stroke rings like a file drawn through bone. The farm no longer sleeps. It listens, and so do I. The forge still stands, a squat brick box built by my grandfather. I clear ash from the fire pot, pour coal, strike flint. The fire claws up, blue at the core, orange at the edges. I crank the blower. Feed it heat. My plan's simple. Fresh iron. Metal not yet rusted, not yet remembered. If they feed on memory, let them choke on steel born without any. I lay the bar across the grate, wait until it turns the color of new dawn. Then I lift it, hammer it flat on the anvil. Sparks rise, bright, brief stars. Each blow drowns the sound from the silo. For a moment I own the night. I quench the bar in brine. Steam bursts up. The smell, salt, fire, something older, something pure. The scraping from the silo stumbles, slows. I test the blade. Crude, but sharp. Not a weapon of glory, just something real I can hold. At midnight, I kill the forge, step outside. The air's changed, tastes like ozone and wet ash. Rain that never fell. They return just before dawn. 7, maybe 8. One kneels by the broken fence, bronze-lit eyes fixed on where the horseshoes used to hang. Others rise behind, moving like shadows made of wire. The silo is silent, but they answer some unseen command. One rustborn raises his arm. A horseshoe glows in his chest where flesh should be. He points at me. A message clear as any word. I grip the porch rail. Let the wood bite back. It's still alive. Still ours. Clouds roll across the moon. The rustborn vanish into dark. But their intent lingers. They haven't taken the forge. Not yet. I stash the fresh bar under a feed sack. Hide it like a prayer. Then I wait. Because what comes next won't be theft. It'll be siege. By the time the sun sets, the sky is bruised copper, and the wind smells like old coins left in a fire. It's the kind of evening that pretends calm, but carries something feral just beneath the hush. Galloway's truck is parked out front, the sheriff himself pacing the yard in tight circles, shotgun over one shoulder. His eyes don't rest on anything too long. I know why. The silence isn't empty anymore. It's listening. We've spent the last hours readying the forge, stacking ironware, setting coals and brine. The stove from the kitchen now anchors the hearth in the front room. Hooks, hinges, poker rods, everything iron and still clean, laid out like offerings. We don't talk much. Words feel brittle. Instead, we count. 4 rods ready, 2 cooling, 1 forge. No retreat. The scraping starts just as the last light folds under the hills. At first, it's a whisper. Then it becomes a tide. A single rasp across steel followed by a dozen more. The porch boards hum with it. My heartbeat matches the rhythm. I step out. The silo hatch yawns open. Josiah stands framed in the doorway. Taller than he ever was. Limbs reworked from salvage. Flesh fused with gear and chain. His chestplate glows faintly from the iron I drove into him nights ago. Behind him, the rust-born fan out across the yard in a quiet, rust-hued crescent. 8 bodies, maybe more, each glinting in dull bronze and copper. None speak. None need to. The forge bellows once as Galloway stokes it behind me. The flare casts the yard in molten orange. I shoulder the bar we forged last night, slide nails between my fingers like coins ready for toll. Not 1 more inch, I say. Josiah tilts his head. Fresh iron, he murmurs. Still ignorant of its purpose. Still unsung, he gestures. 2 of them rush. I meet the first with the heated bar. The strike carves through its chest plate, a hiss of vapor rising from the wound. The smell hits, scorched metal, salt, memory evaporating. The second figure hesitates. Hesitation gives me time to ready the next rod. Headlights swing wide across the yard. Sheriff Galloway's truck blares to life. He jumps out, flashlight beam cutting through the dark, pistol drawn. "Caleb, stand!" His voice dies. The beam catches Josiah's face. The Rustborn nearest turn their heads in eerie unison. Galloway fires twice. Bullets punch through flesh that isn't flesh, holes closing over seconds after they open. One Rustborn peels off, grabs the pistol muzzle. It melts in his grip like wax on a stove. Galloway stumbles, useless weapon in hand. I drive the bar into the Rustborn's shoulder. Steam hisses. The creature recoils. "This way!" I shout, grabbing the sheriff's jacket. We stagger back toward the forge. Galloway blinks at the bar like it's magic. "Heat it, quench it, swing hard," I bark, and then we work. We feed spare tire irons, crowbars, rebar lengths into the fire. One at a time, heat them, hand them off. Each strike buys time. Each glowing rod slows the Rustborn, but cools too fast. Josiah watches from the dark, unreadable. Then he moves, larger now, clad in pieces of my past. His ribcage is the feeder screen from my father's combine. His right arm ends in the rotary chain that once fed harvest into our grain bins. He steps forward. "Your fire cannot last," he says. "Rust runs deeper than heat. Give it. Memory, flesh, iron. Let us carry you forward." "Memory lives because I keep it," I answer, "not because you chew it." He smiles, the kind that never reaches the eyes. "We will harvest the truth either way." He lifts his chain arm. Two Rustborn peel off, head for the truck. Galloway fires again, but the rounds spark off. They adapt faster now. One twists the axle free. Another wraps the exhaust pipe around his own torso like armor. Josiah's chest wound glows brighter. It hasn't healed. The new metal is still poisoning him. I grab a white-hot bar, drive it into that bloom of fractures. He reels, howls. The sound isn't human. The Rustborn falter, confused. Their leader is breaking. "See him?" I shout. "Fresh iron rots him. You'll follow him into the fire." Some turn, some don't. One drops to a crouch, smoke hissing from its joints. Another retreats toward the silo like it's forgotten what it came for. But Josiah doesn't fall. He rights himself, chain arm swinging. Sparks cascade off him. I glance at the house. If he reaches it, it's over. The hinges, the bolts, the stove, the last uncorrupted metal on the property. My last inheritance, my last defense. I slam the cellar hatch open. Inside, lime, oil, fertilizer. We drag barrels to the workshop. Slash them open. Black, slick pools beneath the anvil. I spike the floor with iron rods, soak the entry with lamp oil, rig a fuse from an old feed rag. Then we light it. Flames roar through the building. The Rustborn follow the light like insects. The first enters, a tall one. The explosion buckles the roof, hurls the door into the dark. Two Rustborn stagger out, molten metal dripping from joints, eyes flickering. Josiah halts outside the inferno. What's left of his flesh peels away in the heat. Now he's just a frame of fused plates and rage. His voice comes lower now, more hollow. "Bring the blood iron." They come again. Galloway and I brace the door. We arm ourselves with kitchen pokers, rods. I slice my palm, press the blood to fresh nails, scatter them in the oil. The moment the Rustborn breach the entryway, they touch the blood-forged iron. And they burn. The air splits. Steam, fire, memory, heat. Everything converges. Josiah forces his way through, dragging his chain arm behind. His joints spark with every motion. I drive one last glowing rod into the hole in his chest. This time, it doesn't stop at pain. It explodes. The bar splits. His whole chest cracks open. Light bursts out. I scream. Drag Galloway with me behind the table as the pressure rips through the house. The nails, the hinges, the stove, all light up like a sun blooming under the floor. The house breathes fire. The blast throws us into the yard. Then silence. The house is gone. Where it stood, a crater lined in ash and cooling iron. In the center, my mother's horseshoe, unmarred, still warm. I pick it up. The metal hums in my hand. The rustborn are gone. No bodies, no footsteps. Just fragments, dust, quiet. I test my memory. Grandfather's voice comes back clear. My father's face at the well. The combine ride, the laugh that used to escape the kitchen window. Some cracks remain, but the bleeding has stopped. Galloway steadies himself on a blackened post. County, I'll want a report. They'll get what I can tell. He nods, slow. We stamp embers, walk the perimeter. The horseshoe rests on my knee like a relic. Maybe tomorrow I'll hammer it straight. Make a new blade. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it bent. A reminder that some shapes earn the right to last. 6 weeks later, the county assessor walks the grounds, clipboard in hand. Claims lightning did the damage. Galloway nods along. I don't say a word. He leaves behind a packet and a wary handshake. Insurance covers lumber, not memory. Doesn't matter. I build anyway. The forge comes first, then the walls, then the roof. The key in my pocket stays heavy. That weight is a promise now. The waterman returns once, near dusk, watches me hang the horseshoe above the door. Rust listens, he says. I nod. So do I. He touches the earth where Josiah fell. When he lifts his hand, the soil's pale as bone, like something's been burned clean. Some nights I still wake to the old scrape. I walk the fence. I listen. The metal listens back. And every morning I start the forge, touch every hinge, every bolt, speak their names in steel. If rust ever returns, it'll find me ready, fire in one hand, memory in the other.